Hey everyone, Kimberly Sulfridge here from the Kids Money Project. I hope y'all are having a fantastic day so far. I've got Paula Weiss here joining me. Hi Paula, how are you?
Good afternoon, Kimberly. I'm fantastic. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. I think we're probably all pretty happy to see 2020 go, even though I guess it's not really all that different right now, but
Yeah.
there might be all that light at the end of the tunnel that we can see. And even though it may be a little far down there at the time, at least it's there now, right?
Well, yeah, and I survived COVID and I'm still here.
That's
And
right. You got
yes,
it. It
I
wasn't even
got
that
it.
long ago.
No, it wasn't. And it was a surprise because nobody else around me got it. So I have no idea who I touched.
Oh
But
no.
I know, but it left me with no sense of smell.
Oh my God. Well, the one person that actually I got exposed to and fortunately
Mhm.
never got, he lost his sense of taste and smell. So that's definitely a big one, it seems like.
And well, it's a good diet.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. In fact, he went out and bought broccoli and celery and carrots and basically all that stuff that, we should be eating, but maybe don't always do as well as we should.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yes, so there are people that come out healthy and strong and keep going. So
Yes,
yes, I'm
absolutely. I
hearing
mean, we're
testimony.
we're kind of joking about it a little bit. Obviously, it's a serious
Yes.
situation, and it's I unfortunately I've known some people that have lost some people in this, and
Yes.
so it's very sad. But hopefully we are coming
Mhm.
to some sort of an end to it soon, and we just need to hang in there and stick together.
My only advice to anybody who even gets a sniffle, don't wait to see if it becomes 2 sniffles. Call your doctor, and if they don't respond, call the next one. I think is what helped me right out of the gate and did his job, and we got everything handled, but it's immediate. A lot of people I hear wait because they think it's sinuses or the flu or whatever, and that would be my only suggestion.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's great advice. So.
yeah. No,
Well, here we are. We are back with Mommies and Money and in the new year. And we have actually changed this up a little bit. This used to be something we did every other week, and we've had different formats throughout the years on how we've done this. But we have found that this is such an important conversation that we have decided to make this a weekly thing. So every Wednesday, 3 p.m., with a few exceptions in there for holidays and things. But you will find us here live on Facebook, and then also we have it where if you actually want to join us live in the Zoom meeting, you can do that as well. So you can sign up in the different places. So we hope to see some of you there, and we can even have a conversation that's more than just the two of us.
yes, and God knows we have a lot to say.
Yes. But this particular time we were going to go a little further and just kind of where we left off at the end of last year. We were just talking about where women have come in the process, legally anyway, in moving forward. And of course, the last one is always the one we hear the most about these days, which is the wage gap. And very controversial. In fact, I can't even count how many conversations and hours the two of us have had just on this conversation.
Yes,
And how
and
much
we've
research and everything that we've done, and trying to figure out maybe the best way to have this conversation. And I think we finally came up with a way to kind of look at it through what we can do right now, kind of the immediate part. And honestly, we actually have a lot more control here than we might think we have. Would you agree, Paula?
oh, absolutely, and I think that's what we weren't expecting that to be the answer. We were looking for all other reasons and all other ways to correct it, and we truly have a lot of control, and it's about us as women understanding the control and taking that power and moving forward. So we're kind of going to delve in that a little bit more, but I think we should make allow women to understand it's not as bleak as what the media wants you to believe.
Right. Well,
And
I mean, there are factors there, some in our control and some out of our control. But what's important is that we take a hold of those ones that are in our control. And what we found kind of in our research is some of that is not being done. And some of the the trends are even maybe going in the wrong direction from what we would have thought we would have seen.
Yes.
So kind of this first one here, I put up this little slideshow here because this is just some of the research that we found. And dive in here, Paula, anytime you have something to say. But um, we were kind of looking at this, and this actually comes off of a UBS report that they now do, I think, yearly.
Hmm.
I think they started it in 2018, but this is something that they update every year now, which actually has some really great statistics and shows some information that we hear about and stuff, but the statistics show kind of the actual numbers. And so when
Okay.
this question was kind of posed to people on the equal participation in financial decisions seen as a key in gender equality, and if you kind of see, women and men pretty much tend to agree that this is a big factor. And
But what they say on the survey and what they do in real life, we have found don't correlate. But the big thing that I think we found as we were chatting is really in the little blocks, that he believes that unless women are equally involved in long-term financial decisions, there will never be gender equality. And I think that spoke to both of us when we found this. It was like, oh my God, that encapsulates everything we want to say as to why it's so important.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll preface the first, I think, two slides show what people say when they're asked about this
Yes.
question. So,
Mhm.
and we all know that when you're asked about something and then what you actually do can be two completely different scenarios. And that's unfortunately exactly what we found, because obviously here, they're asking, and 82% of women and 74% of men overall feel that this is something very strongly that can lead to gender equality. And then they kind of break it down into some of the age groups and stuff, which I'll tell you what disturbed me a little bit about this was we seem to be going
Little.
in the wrong direction on the
Yes.
women.
Yes.
Boomers 89% think it, but then Gen Xers, which is my generation, we're at 78%, which, why did we go, it's almost 10%. We kind of went down there. And then millennials, another 2%. That trend's going in the wrong direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that these are the women that are going to be inheriting or have or are in the process of trillions of dollars.
Right.
And they don't seem to be, they say they want to be interested, but as we move forward, you'll see their lack of involvement
Right.
impacts wage
Right.
gap.
And then here, and this just broke down certain scenarios. Basically, women shouldn't encounter financial surprises, which, we've talked in the past that I don't remember what the exact percentage was, but it was a very high percentage, something like
Hmm.
56% of women find surprises. Oftentimes, uh, it may be when a spouse passes away, or during the divorce process or something like that, that, there's something financially that they were not aware of. That's a high percentage. And that can be for any number of reasons.
And I think part of it is when they're participating, there's participating and then there is participating. So if they're sitting down and they're just paying the bills versus understanding their budget and looking at their investments and making sure all their financial papers are in line, that's when they encounter that unexpected financial surprise.
Right.
So you need to understand what that means when you're saying you need to be involved.
Well, and it's just how involved are you? In fact, we found that most women are the ones that pay kind of the day-to-day bills. And, they're writing the checks, or nowadays, you don't write the check as much as you log on and pay your bills that way or whatever.
Yes, yes.
And this is, generally women are the ones that take care of those responsibilities. But that does not, relate to actually being a part of the financial long-term planning of your life. And there's a big difference between those two. Even though yes, you obviously are involved in the day-to-day of it, are you involved in that long-term conversation of it, which is obviously affects the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And they don't know that. And which goes back to part of how it's affecting their ability to make money at their jobs in reference to they don't value um, that input yet. They don't realize just how important and the impact of not being involved. can affect them long term.
Well, I think a long bout of people kind of, and I don't even necessarily know how to word it exactly, but it's almost been ingrained to us that, the men are the protectors and the providers and things like that. And so and in some senses, it's created a bias, whether we intend to teach that to our younger children or not, but it's something that's always there and present. And so I think we tend sometimes to back out of that role because they've got it covered. And obviously, that's not the only reason. I mean, well, I know our next conversation kind of goes into some of those reasons, so I won't even
Mhm.
won't even go there because that's too long
Yeah,
of a conversation for today. But
absolutely.
it's just a part about we need to be more involved in it, and we need to value what we have to bring to the table on this. And I think sometimes women, don't feel that they have what it takes or what they need to be in that discussion. So but going through the rest of this, both spouses should be involved in major decisions. I mean, I think everybody would say that. Obviously, 96%, both men and women feel that way. But again, how realistic is that when
Mhm.
it comes down to the real world? And then being involved can enable women to walk away from being in bad relationships. And unfortunately, this is part of the real world. I mean, I actually know people that have been in what I would have called an abusive relationship that felt like they couldn't walk away because, they didn't have any money. And it's like, well, no, that's not true.
Mhm.
And but it's what they felt because maybe they were not the breadwinner, or maybe they weren't bringing in any money because they were a stay-at-home mom to, two or three kids or something like that. And,
Mm.
so the value system there is off. And so
And
uh,
women sometimes feel that when they're not the breadwinner, it's not their money, or the spouse implies that they're
yes.
not out there making the money, so they don't have a decision. So that's a whole other can of worms in reference to how women need to learn how to overcome those conversations and those obstacles. And if it doesn't, find that out before you say I do, or you share a bank account or a
Right.
life.
These are
Because that
conversations
usually,
to be
yeah,
had.
yeah, it doesn't change as
Right.
a rule.
No.
We're the ones that need to make the change. You can't expect anybody to do what you want them to do. You can only be in control of what you choose to do.
Right. So, like we talked about before, when these questions were posed, obviously the answers seemed pretty, what you would probably expect to hear. But when you look at what actually happened, so despite emphasis on equality, half of women are deferring to their spouse on long-term financial decisions.
Yeah.
So, we've got 49% here, and then 35% that are participating equally, and then 16% of women that are actually taking the lead in this. So the question is, why is that 49% not much higher, especially given how they answer that other question on you know equality and bringing it equal. They know that that's what it is, but why are they deferring?
Well, I think we come back, and again, we could have days of this conversation,
Oh,
marathons of it.
we
And
have.
yes, we have. And my take on this, and we've kind of shared it, and I'd love you to share back again, is that I think it goes back to women, girls not being taught the value of money. From a
Mhm.
very young age, they're basically daddy takes care of them or somebody's going to be taking care of them. But that actually follows them through to college. And
Mhm.
potentially, this is my opinion, I can't give you fact, the careers they choose don't give them the opportunity to make the income that, God forbid, they are on their own to live on when they're choosing an art degree or they're choosing something that is not in the sciences or in the maths, and it's more, I don't want to say fluffy, but it's not going to pay the bills long term to give them the lifestyle they're coming out of. And it's, they don't value themselves because they were not taught to how to value themselves. So when they're in a job situation and they found out their coworker was making more than them, they don't know how to go justify asking for the job because I don't know that they feel that they're entitled
Mhm.
or that they have the value to bring to fight for it. So
Right.
that's kind of where I was coming from this. We need to help women be empowered and understand that they have control
Oh,
over
absolutely.
those options.
Right. And then this is just one last one that, I think they thought they might see a difference between, maybe an education level and maybe the industries that they were in or even age. And so they broke it down. And as you can see, there's really not much
Right.
difference there. I mean, there's a few percentage points here and there, but for the most part, it's the same across the board. I mean,
Doesn't change.
absolutely. And so that is a problem that the only person that can fix that is yourself. And you can only change what you acknowledge. And I'm filtering in my Dr. Phil here. You can only change what you acknowledge. But I think we need to start looking at ourselves as women and seeing what we can actually do. And this fight, this wage gap fight and all this kind of stuff, this is going to go on for, oh my gosh, a long time. I mean,
Hmm.
let's be realistic about it. And no, we've come a long way. I mean, it's sad that we had to come a long way, but you know, that's the fact of life. And and life is not always fair. I mean, it'd be great if it was. Things would probably be a whole lot easier, but it's not. And sometimes we've got to fight that fight. And so
And fair is subjective to a lot of people.
yeah.
It's fair to for whom. So I think wrapping this up to this point, my take here is that you've got three options when you up against a wage issue that you not really in love with your job. So you either can better yourself and credential yourself to make yourself better.
Mhm.
You can go ahead and you can look for another job, get better soft and hard skills, and find something that you can really feel empowered to excel. Or the third thing is, and you and I both know it, open your own business. There's no wage cap there.
Right.
We're responsible to do what we need to do. We find the means to do it. And we have to help other women find this path
Mhm.
and not fight on a fight they're not going to win today.
Right.
Legally, you're supposed to be paid equal, but there's so many gray areas on how they assess your job performance.
Right.
They're going to win, but we believe that women can do it.
Well, you make yourself invaluable to your employer, or like you said, go into to business for yourself, and then you're the employer, you're calling the shots. And and that may not be for everybody. Obviously, being an entrepreneur is definitely a different way of life,
Yes.
especially
Hmm.
if you've always been an employee for somebody. There is definitely a mindset that goes along with being an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
And so it is not for everybody. So definitely before you decide to do it, maybe look into it a little more, talk to
Well,
some
talk to
people.
us. Yeah, call us before you do.
Right.
Not saying you run out to do this, but know that there are options. Don't feel
Absolutely.
that you don't have something else to do. Don't let him making 10 cents more an hour crush you
Right.
into no action at all.
Mhm. Absolutely. I mean, we just have to kind of keep moving forward. And we fight the fights and we keep pushing forward, and we will get there. And in fact, we may get there and we move right on past. That's if you think about it, men and women are not created equal in how we work and how we
Right.
think. And there are certain industries and jobs that are going to be better suited for women versus men, certain jobs that may be better suited for men versus women. I mean, that's a reality.
Mhm.
And so you find what works best for you. And it's not to say that men and women can't have the same job. Obviously, that's not true. That can happen all the time, but there are things that are going to be better suited for certain people, and finding those and moving into those, and that's where
Mhm.
it'll work for you.
Well, check out our my website, my my Facebook page, because I'm going to post a TED talk on a gal who I think is incredibly inspirational. And there was two other articles, and I have her book, and maybe some resources that you can use if you find yourself in a quandary and you're not satisfied where you are with your job or your finances.
Mhm.
So you
Well,
can
why
reach.
don't you
Yeah, I'm sorry.
why
Go
don't
right
you just
ahead.
tell us a little bit more about what it is you do, and then we can kind of
Yeah,
wrap this up a little bit.
yeah. I did pretty good. I'm an advocate for women's mental and financial health. I answer the questions. I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm one of them. And I try to empower, inspire, educate, and be a resource that you don't need to be afraid of money and you can be successful. And I want to make sure you teach your children or your grandchildren or your godchildren or your daughter who forgot how to pay a bill because daddy and mommy have taken care. And that's not picking on anybody. It kind of, I see that happen all the time. I want you to be able to know how to say no, but I want you to be able to empower them too, to show them a path and they can lead by your example. So,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of where I come in. A parent's job is to prepare their child for the next level of life, and money education is one of those things that is definitely lacking in our school systems. And unfortunately, our parents were not necessarily taught this from their parents. So there's not a lot of conversation going on at home about money, a lot of your basics and stuff, but not moving into all of these different topics, mortgages and credit and debt and all these different things. A lot of times these are not learned until they're out of the house. And unfortunately, a lot of times mistakes are made, and a lot of debt can be racked up pretty quick, especially if they go to college and they start racking up student loan debt. I mean, those numbers are astronomical. So, you could come out of college and have a house payment for your student loan debt,
yeah,
and you're just starting. So,
yeah. And you don't
that's
use,
actually what
yeah,
I do, is talk to parents about that and
right.
how to change that and how to start talking to their kids young. I was fortunate and had a mom that did that for me, and I can't imagine where I'd be today without that. So, but yeah, so as I said before, this is a conversation we're going to have weekly now. We're going to be Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Like I said, with a few exceptions. But you can catch us here in the Facebook group. Or like I said, we also have the Zoom link as well if you want to kind of join us here, and we can actually create more of a conversation around some of this if you join us here live in the Zoom. So do you have anything else, Paula, you want to add?
No, other than have a fantastic Wednesday. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions or ideas or concerns of what you'd like to hear us chat about. We'd love to share.
That's right, absolutely. And so yeah, we'll continue on this conversation next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about that female financial mindset. That sometimes can be a little hard to say.
Well, you have a fantastic week. And thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you, and we will see everybody here next week.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye bye.